It's the final race of the Middle Eastern Tour, and we're here for the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix, and it's going to be a very exciting race weekend as we have got a brand new layout to work around here at the Yas Marina circuit. But heading into this weekend, the focus was very much between Mercedes and Renault, in particular the two team principals, Alain Prost and Toto Wolff. Now, in a press conference, Alain Prost warned Mercedes about their new driver Tom. Prost stated that they have signed a man with mistakes which he knew too well. Now this is a very interesting comment to come out with, and this has come out obviously due to the fact of Tom's mistakes in the previous two races in Bahrain and also in Jeddah. In the Bahrain Grand Prix, Tom qualified really far down the order in P18, but he battled his way up to P3 and very much impressed. However, he then ended up spinning and lost a bunch of positions before fighting his way back up to P5. That was the same in the Saudi Arabian Grand Prix, but in a slightly different context, in which Tom ran into the back of Pato O'Ward into the first corner and damaged his front wing and had to pit for a new one, and then had to fight his way back up the field in towards P5. Now Alain Prost really wanted to get a little bit of dig in there, as him and Tom's relationship really soured towards the end of the season with Renault. But Toto Wolff was having absolutely none of it in the press conference and said that he'd rather have a champion in his team than have him in a team in which all the staff members are constantly scared about their jobs because Renault don't seem to want to understand the difference between staying and leaving in Formula 1. Very, very toxic between Toto Wolff and Alain Prost. It's been toxic though for quite some time, but yeah, a little bit of a scuffle in the team principals press conference. But will that make an effect on track? Well, let's find out and have a look at who's gone quickest in practice. Taking a look at the race news heading into this weekend, it was Mercedes-Benz that were topping the timesheets in practice, courtesy of Tom and Lewis Hamilton. Tom went fastest in FP1, with Lewis Hamilton going quickest in FP2 and FP3. So, are there any teams that are going to be able to stop Mercedes, or is it going to be looking like a little bit of a domination weekend? Well, maybe, but maybe not, as the other three teams that are close to the top of the pile, McLaren, Ferrari and Porsche, are still very much in contention, with McLaren just edging Porsche and Ferrari in practice. Now, it wasn't going too well for BMW. They were having a lot of issues with their rear tyre temperatures, specifically with regards to overheating, especially in the final sector. They felt like they were just taking too much life out of their tyres in that area, and they were just getting to a point where they were overheating too quickly. It's a bit of a strange one, as the Abu Dhabi circuit is now a lot faster, and there's a lot more straight lines, which should technically allow the tyres a bit of room to breathe, but clearly for BMW, they've gone the wrong way with the setup, and it's causing their tyres to overheat. Now, Renault were impressive yet again on the long runs. It's been very much a tale of better long run pace for the Renault compared to its short run, which has definitely been a little bit weaker, with Pierre Gasly even also satisfied with how his car is feeling. Of course, Gasly has been struggling all season long with the Renault, but this time around he seems to be happy with it. That's also the same for Jaguar as well. They're much happier with the car around here, and it seems that Jaguar have found a little bit of a loophole within their own car, and that it's definitely stronger on high-speed circuits compared to the slow-speed circuits. So with this being a high-speed circuit now, this will definitely pay into their favour. But that is it for the practice news. Let's get straight into qualifying and the race for the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix. Yo, what's going on guys? It is Foxydude here. Welcome back to a brand new video and another episode of the F1 journey for you guys today here on the channel. We're here for, I believe this is round number 6 now of the season, and as you can see, we're here at Abu Dhabi for the first time since its track layout changes. If you haven't enjoyed today's video though, feel free to drop it a like and subscribe to the channel if you're new around here as well. And let's get straight into the action then. First things first, obviously we've got to get through qualifying, and qualifying so far has been a little bit iffy for me at the moment, so hopefully we can try and improve on that. And our first banker lap time was actually pretty poor, and it's something that we were not happy with. Now I went out again to try and improve on my lap time here, but as you can see, I was just struggling to actually do back-to-back laps. It was something that I wanted to test, and well, that's the end result of my testing. A little bit of a spin there. Heading into the final part now of this session here, we'll try and improve here because we're down in P15, I believe that is. And we're not really making that much time up, but fortunately, as we make a little bit of a touch on the wall there, this final sector now was so much stronger for us, and it's exactly what we need now as we round the final corner, literally ragging it to the start-finish line. Where is that going to put us? So here we are then on the grid for the start of the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix. We're starting in P8 which is not too bad considering our previous performances. But as you can see then, let's get ready to get this race underway. Then we've got 5 red lights on for the start of this race, and they are out, so let's go. And as you can see then, not the greatest of start from us on the initial getaway there, but fortunately not losing any places as we head in towards turn 1, getting so close there to the back of the Red Bull, even making contact there with the back of that Red Bull. I think that was Sergio Perez that we just tapped in there as we went through in towards turn 1. So lucky that we didn't get a repeat of what happened at the last race in Saudi Arabia when we damaged our front wing in the first corner. This time around, we're still in the action and we can still fight. And as you can see now, going down the straight here for the first time, you can see accelerating all the way down now, and you can see that we've got one of the Porsche cars in front of us who's chasing up to the Red Bull. But as things currently stand, Lewis Hamilton, our teammate, does lead the way. As there you can see, there's a little bit of an error there by that Red Bull. And now all of a sudden, we find ourselves in a little bit of a drag here with Reese and myself and the Red Bull. I don't know which one it is. I think it's Sergio Perez now. We're going to go 3 wide here now, down in towards the new left-handed high-speed corner. As you can see, making our way through now in towards this corner. And we're double overtaking both Sergio Perez and Reese there. And we move ourselves up into 6th place now in the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix. Now making our way through the newly reprofiled final sector of this track. And I'll tell you what, it's a lot of fun to drive it, but it's definitely really tricky, especially on the rear end of the car, because I do find on this game the rear end is very sensitive, and that's something that, well, when I was obviously in qualifying, as you saw, we definitely figured that one out. But we cross the start-finish line now, and we are currently in P6, gaining 2 places then off the line. Looking at the light sequence then, as the lights go out, it's a cracking start from Lewis Hamilton. He's got no problems from his rivals behind. In fact, his rivals are all dealing with each other. There's us making the bump on Sergio Perez and nearly breaking our front wing, as we've got 2 drivers going side by side behind me there of, I believe that's Piastri and Daniel Ricciardo. Here is Oscar Piastri, so this is what it looked like then from his perspective, as I obviously didn't get the greatest of start, but luckily, as you see, I didn't quite get an... Oh, I wonder if Piastri then just gave me a little bit of a tap then in towards the first corner. It looked like he just gave me the slightest of taps, which just pushed me ever so slightly forward and then into the back of Sergio Perez then. So that was a little bit of an interesting one to put into perspective. But now, as you can see, we are on board with... well, this is not Sergio Perez then, it is Van Dorn. So the whole time I've been talking about Sergio Perez, it was indeed Stoffel Van Dorn. Well, anyway, at the end of the day, you know, everyone makes mistakes. Just look at David Croft, and you will find that one out for yourself. Now, going in towards the hairpin, this is obviously him going side by side with Reese for the entirety of his race, and that's how he got in front of him. Lap 2 of the Grand Prix here, we're on board with George Russell now, who's on the back of one of the Audis here, getting down the straight now in towards the chicane. Let's see if he can try and get past. I think it's Bottas that he's trying to overtake here. He is Bottas that he's trying to overtake, and going down in towards this chicane now. Russell is ahead of Bottas, but Bottas will have a chance though to come back out Russell here through the next straight now, heading up towards turn 11, I think it is, the new high-speed corner. Let's see if he tries to go for it then. He is going to go for it now, around the outside in towards this newly reprofiled turn 11. Let's see if he can try and make this one stick now as they go around the outside here. Not quite. In fact, Russell forces Bottas really wide out. There's one of the Red Bulls there going wayward in the background now. Lap 3 of the Grand Prix, and we're now onto the back here of the train of cars at the front of the field, slowly but surely getting ourselves into DRS range now. This is Pato O'Ward directly in front of us, and this is Pato O'Ward. That was so close then to making contact, but somehow in all of that, despite nearly going into the back of Pato O'Ward, that actually paid off. But unfortunately, the DRS is reversed this time around, and Pato O'Ward's going to get it now down the straight here. And this caught me out because I thought the DRS detection zone for the second straight was on the exits. We make contact there with Reese as we nearly you lost a position to him as well, but we gained that one back in all of that. So luckily, we don't lose 2 places, but we don't gain anything from doing that. But back to what I was saying earlier, I thought that the second DRS detection zone was actually on the exit, or was on the exit of this long back straight here, so on the very final section, because it was normally in the braking zone. So I was expecting me being behind to overtake him and then get ahead of him. That didn't work, and as you can see, we're now chasing on the back of Pato O'Ward for a second time now, making sure not to overtake him on the first straight, so we can get a clean run round the outside here into the next straight, and that is job done for us versus Pato O'Ward. The overtake is complete, and now we can start pressing onwards to the top 4, who are all starting to pull away a little bit here. So what we can't afford to do now, and this is something that happened to me in the Australian Grand Prix back in the first round of the season was they cannot afford, as Sam here now trying to go for a run here on Carlos Sainz now, down in towards the inside line of the chicane now, but Sainz is going to fight this one back here as they make their way through. Very close racing between the three of them now, because there's also Lando Norris in the background of all this, trying to get involved in the act here. Now Sam's going to be very vulnerable here, because he's suffering what I suffered earlier on, and that is a double overtake going in towards the favour of Lando Norris and also Carlos Sainz. But who's going to come out on top between Sainz and Norris? It's unfortunately for Norris' sake, Sainz. But one lap later, he's going to come back at him now as they go round the outside in towards the chicane here. Norris really desperate for the move here, but he's got to be careful because of what happened last time around. That's the detection zone right there, that little line, and then there's a line about a couple of hundred yards up ahead, which is then the DRS zone itself here. And Sainz says, well, thank you very much, I'll just have that place back. As we see now, we're just having a look here at Pato Awards here, DRSing Reese there in towards that corner as one more. Wow, this is Sergio Perez. I found him, everyone, don't worry. He's actually attacking one of the Aston Martins here of Theo Porcher. I think Colton Herta, though, is actually right behind him in all of this. So, exactly, yeah, he is. Porcher now, round they go in towards the left-hander here. Perez has got the high ground, so this should give him the better run now through towards the final sector, but not on that occasion, actually. Perez has to fight a little bit longer and a bit harder than he probably would have wanted to here as they go now down into the final corner. Back end sliding a little bit from Sergio Perez. Herta now trying to get involved in on the act, but Herta says, thank you very much, I'll have that position. So that's a place gained for the Aston Martin now. So we go on to lap 7 of the Grand Prix here now, and the battle between 2nd, 3rd and 4th continues onwards, and Lewis Hamilton is saying, I love this because I am pulling away, as Norris now gets through into 2nd place, but there is a DRS zone coming up, so he needs to be very careful here. But it looks like he might have just actually built himself a bit of a gap here to hold on in all of this, and he does. But one lap later now, lap 8 of the Grand Prix, you can see now Sam is attacking Carlos Sainz. Crucially in the background there, that's in the Mercedes. We're catching these pack now because what I was trying to say earlier was in the Australian Grand Prix, round number 1, that was very close. We got caught in multiple battles, which left us, left the two Porsche cars absolutely free to just roam away in the Grand Prix. This time around, though, they're battling in a very efficient way, but Lewis Hamilton is not exactly breezing away out front. So, crucially, we've got a little bit of time on our hands here, and we're on to lap 9 of the Grand Prix now, and this is when we finally catch up to the top 3 in the race. Or should I say 2nd, 3rd and 4th to be exact. And now all of a sudden, we find ourselves in the DRS zone here. Crucially, also, there's a lot more as we go for a big dive there. Down the inside of Sam into the chicane. That even caught me out as I was trying to talk through that. But job done in all of that. Lovely dive bomb there from ourselves, just taking advantage. Now all of a sudden Sam's been flustered here. He's got Reese that's trying to attack him now. As they go, straight line drag now, down in towards the left-hander. Who's going to come out on top in all of this? It looks like Sam is. In fact, Reese has been very heavily compromised in all of that. I think he lost the rear end going through there. But yeah, we were very, very aggressive there on Sam, but we need to because he is currently one of our championship rivals at this stage of the season. So we need to be making these positions, making this car performance count as we now go on to lap 10 here. Sainz is attacking Norris now down the straight in towards the chicane, braking late as Carlos Sainz, and let's see what he can do here against Lando Norris as they go into the chicane. Super close, super tight. Here we are though now in all of the fight in this. We're going to get some DRS and all this. Can we go for a double overtake maybe on these two drivers? Who's not got DRS? Sainz doesn't have it. We're going to get past Sainz. Now we're going to go alongside with Norris around the outside into the left-hander. Will we come out on top in all of this? Yes, we can. Double overtake complete on Lando Norris and also on Carlos Sainz there, maximising our positioning and getting the job done. Now it is currently, as things stand, a Mercedes AMG EQ 1 and 2. But, of course, there is still 18 or 19 laps to go in this Grand Prix, and we're not out of the DRS zone yet of our rivals behind. So here comes Lando Norris now for an attack on ourselves here, down the straight in towards the chicane now, and I'm actually just going to carefully let him through. I don't want to cost myself too much time battling because my instinct is to, well, fight Hamilton. He's not that far ahead, but crucially, I know that if I get myself involved in a battle that's so heavy, it's just going to be a waste of time here as I'm trying around the outside of Lando Norris, but I just don't have the raw downforce to even mug him off like that. So we've got to wait a little bit longer. Lap 12 of the Grand Prix now. You can see that the field is starting to spread out a little bit now. As you can see, Hamilton leading this race. Norris second. We're in third. But you can see there that after Sainz in fourth, So there's a little bit of a gaggle of cars there between Sam, Reese, I think Piastri's involved in that as well. So that's something to bear in mind. But as we catch up back now to Lando Norris here, we're going to breeze it through now on Lando. He didn't even use any battery there to defend the position, and we'll take that one back. Crucially, I didn't overtake him in the first DRS zone. I actually closed my DRS and just let myself get as close as I possibly could, and then waited for the second straight in order to do that. And that's just efficiency, because by doing that, by closing up to Lando Norris and then overtaking him when the right time is there, it's just going to pull me closer to Hamilton. And it's a bit of a cheesy move, because of course it means that, well, we're bringing other cars towards Lewis Hamilton, but the aim of the game is to, well, win the Grand Prix. And at the end of the day, when it comes to me getting closer to Lewis Hamilton, I am a little bit of a dirty driver when I want to be, but this isn't going to help. Getting in the pits here and getting held in the pits then by a couple of drivers. That was, I think, Sam and also Reese then coming into the pits and just costing us crucial seconds then that we do need in this Grand Prix. And that might just be a very killer blow here, not only versus Lando Norris, who we literally just overtook, but also to Carlos Sainz. It was a little bit further back in all of that. So hopefully that hasn't cost us too much, but we'll find out very shortly if it has or if it hasn't, as we carry on now on the hard compound tyres. We need to warm these tyres up. Now, lap 14 of the Grand Prix. It doesn't look like it's cost us too badly. Lewis Hamilton still leads the Grand Prix. He's about 2 seconds or so clear, I'd say that gap is. But directly behind me is Carlos Sainz and Lando Norris. So crucially, we stayed in front of Lando Norris, but we're about to lose the position to Carlos Sainz here. But this is again the aim of the game here. I've given Carlos Sainz an easy overtake here. He's now gained about 2 or 3 tenths on me. But as we make our way down the straight now here, a little bit of barging and contact going on here. We're going to go for the move once again now and retake the position as we now use the DRS here on the straight and get that job done. But crucially in there, what I'm trying to do is that Sainz there managed to overtake me without any form of hassle. So it means that he probably gains about a tenth or 2 on myself. Now, as I re-overtook Sainz, I probably gained about a tenth or 2 from Sainz, meaning overall we probably gained about 3 to 4 tenths doing the DRS slipstream trick. And all that's going to do is just bring us closer to Hamilton, and then when we get close to Hamilton and close to the DRS zone, then I'll activate plan B, which is, well, force these drivers into an aggressive overtake on them, and hopefully it allows the other two to battle, and then we can pull away, and then I can have a fight with Hamilton on my own. But at the end of the day, we need to focus on fighting with Carlos Sainz, and we're going to do just that by DRSing him around the outside. But you saw in the first straight, we let Sainz overtake us quite comfortably actually, and then we got our move done on Sainz there. So job done, and now we can keep pressing onwards in this Grand Prix now as we make our way through the final sector. We've got a yellow flag though further back there, so somebody's got a problem in this Grand Prix. I'm just trying to have a look here who's on the map and who isn't there, and I don't see a McLaren on there, and it's Pato O'Ward. It's not Daniel Ricciardo, there's still no names mod, but there is Pato O'Ward out of this race for McLaren, and he's not having a very good season anyway, and this is just going to topple it all off into a miserable weekend for Pato O'Ward, and his miserable season continues, and hopefully for his sake it improves in the later stages of the season before there's too little time left. But we're now back on board with myself here, and we're now under attack here from Carlos Sainz. But guess what? I'm going to give him the outside line, gives him the racing line into the hairpin. Now all of a sudden he's going to find himself under DRS attack from myself here, but he's actually done a good job here of building him a bit of a gap here now as we go onto the exit here. I don't want to burn too much ERS here trying to go for the move. Are we actually going to get past Sainz in all of this? No, we're not. We're not close enough here to get past Sainz. This is crucial now for the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix, because if Sainz has got raw pace now on those hard compound tyres, all of a sudden I'm not going to be able to get back past him again. But further back now, we're looking at Callum Ilott here, and I think this is Mason Woods, if I'm correct. I might be. No, it's Nick De Vries, so I'm wrong, as per usual. We're now watching these two having a little bit of a go at each other. Now, Ilott here gets a better run than what De Vries has got, and just like what we've seen before, Mason De Vries had the run, but it didn't work out. Lap 17 in the Grand Prix. Look at the gap that Sainz has pulled on us already here, but fortunately, we're still in DRS range here of Carlos, so we can now close back up to the Porsche car, and we get very close there, almost touching him with our front nose there. But now as we go onto the straight here, it wasn't a great exit again from ourselves, but crucially, we're still back in DRS range. We can still go for the attack here on sides if we are close enough to go for it. And I think we are. We're going to go to the inside line, though. Go down the inside to Carlos Sainz. Make the move 6. Sainz will switch back on us, but we'll hold that one off. And that's a lovely overtake there. Back past Carlos Sainz for second place in this Grand Prix. And now we really need to focus on catching Hamilton because we're running out of time here in this race now. On lap 18 of the Grand Prix, here is Lando Norris here, going for a move on Carlos Sainz, and this is absolute dreamland for myself here, because look, these two now, all of a sudden, the fact that we managed to overtake there, look, Hamilton leads this Grand Prix, I'm in second behind, now the two drivers that are contesting us in this Grand Prix are battling hard for position now, so this is great. None of them have got DRS here down on this straight, so they're going to have to just go for it evenly in all of that. And there you can see now, lap 19, they're going for it again now as they go down the straight here in towards the hairpin. But look at the gap now between myself and Carlos Sainz. It's getting bigger because they're just battling now, costing each other time. But this is great for us now in this Grand Prix. It's great for Mercedes as we can potentially now just pull away from these guys and give ourselves a clear advantage later on in this Grand Prix. And there goes Carlos Sainz. Oh, that's actually Reese. I don't lie, that's Reese that's overtaken Piastri. I was looking at the Sainz. I thought it was the Sainz-Norris battle. But there's a yellow flag in further behind there. And the two of them are out. The two drivers, Carlos Sainz and Lando Norris, are out of this. What just happened there? As we now go into the last corner, what just went wrong as they go through? There's a spin there for Carlos Sainz, and Norris has gone straight and he's collected him. He's actually literally riding him at this point now. That's a little bit sus there, but look at this now. As they go into the last corner, the back end just slides there for Sainz, and oh, he's been collected. He's been collected by Lando Norris. Sam is saying thank you very much. He's just inherited third place. And look at this now from Norris's perspective as there goes Sainz around and there's nothing he can do. And thank God the halo is there because that's a nasty impact there. One that would have been a completely different outcome had that gone a different way. But all of a sudden now, the race has completely changed here because now, as we can see, this is Oscar Piastri overtaking Reese. So, yeah, the clip before the two of them crashed, it turns out it was actually Reese and Piastri we were focusing on. So both Porsche cars having a go at the Ferraris. But that's massive now for this Grand Prix because those two drivers, as you saw from the mini-map, they were, say, 2 seconds behind or so from myself. They were really close. Sam, meanwhile, who's running in third place now, who's just thinking, I have been gifted a podium here in this race, bearing in mind, of course, he's got to stay in front of these two, scrapping away very heavily. All of a sudden, he's now in a podium place out of nothing. And also, he is a lot further back than myself and Hamilton. So now all of a sudden, the two Mercedes up front have got a very clear gap now to work with. So now all of a sudden, we can see ourselves having a little bit of a press here now for a little bit of a margin now as we make our way down the straight here now with Oscar Piastri, who gets his move done now on Reese into the next corner now, and that is a very simple overtake for him as we make our way down the straight here now with Reese, who makes another comfortable overtake here on Oscar Piastri. Job done for him now in this Grand Prix, and he is ahead of Piastri for the time being. But, of course, we need to make sure that that battle continues onwards because it's a lot of fun for us. It's content at the end of the day. And as we make our way down in towards the next left-hander, that was very close, but lap 24 of the Grand Prix now. Here we go. Another opportunity once again here for Piastri to breeze his way past Reese. But, of course, there is still a chance here that Reese can get the run on the second straight here and get back past him once again. But we'll have to wait and see on that one. How big of a gap here has Piastri pulled out on Reese? Quite a big one, so much so that he's not going to get back past him again. So we're on board with Gasly now, who's having a look at Charles Leclerc here, with also the Perez of the Red Bull of Sergio Perez in all of that. But here we go now, down the straight here. Let's see if Gasly can get a run here on Charles Leclerc and make the move stick now. Let's see if he's got the straight line speed. He's got the straight line speed. Gasly breezes past Charles Leclerc, and Perez now wants to go down the inside here of Charles Leclerc. They're going to go side by side here to try and counter this battle here, but Leclerc holds it on around the outside now of Sergio Perez as they make their way round in towards the final sector here. Leclerc dives it down the inside now of Sergio Perez. Perez, though, holds it up in there now, side by side into the next, underneath the hotel now. They're still going for it here, and this is giving Gasly a perfect opportunity to pull away now in this Grand Prix, but Perez is not backing down. Leclerc will not back down from this as they battle their way down the straight now and heading on to lap 26 for these guys anyway. And Perez there gets the move done, but oh, what a dive bomb there from Theo Pourchaire, trying desperately to make the move on Charles Leclerc. Can he make it stick though? Let's find out as they loop their way round turns 1 and 2, down the straight now. It's a straight track, remember, to the hairpin, no chicane to deal with, and there's a dive bomb there from Theo Pourchaire. What a drive that is from Theo Pourchaire to just send it down the inside, but who's got DRS now down the straight here? Leclerc's got it. That's a bad mistake there from Theo Pourchaire. Should have waited until the DRS was active for himself and then made the dive down the inside, but that's a crucial error there. But Leclerc there defending the position there very heavily in towards there, but he holds on to the position. But lap 27 of 29, ever since the two drivers behind me of Norris and Sainz crashed and cost themselves an opportunity at a podium, that has given me plenty of breathing space, and honestly it's just made me a hell of a lot calmer, and it's allowing now me to have an opportunity to get my head down and focus on Lewis Hamilton. And it's been a massive stretch to try and get this done, but finally we've got DRS here on Lewis Hamilton with just a matter of laps to go now in the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix. We're going down the straight now versus Lewis Hamilton, closing the DRS here, making sure we don't make the mistake of giving Hamilton a bite back at us on the next straight now as we make our way through the chicane. Lovely entry and exit, nice and clean, nice and tidy. DRS is enabled. Now we're going to drop the battery here on Lewis Hamilton in the final stages of the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix. We're going to go for it now around the outside here of the left-hander, getting the job done on Lewis Hamilton, going super wide in the process, but using every ounce of the track possible. Hamilton there loses the rear end on the exit of the corner, which is crucial for us now, because out front this entirety of this second stint, the pace that I've had in the final sector has been a lot stronger than what Hamilton's is. Now I need to push, get the 1 second gap from Lewis Hamilton, and that's exactly what we've done here. The last lap now of the Grand Prix, and we are now on our way towards our second victory of the season, and we've had 5 different winners in the first 5 races of the F1 Journey season number 10, but we are the one that is going to break that streak of different race winners, because we're going to take our second win of the season. Victory here at the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix, and stealing it right at the end, Lewis Hamilton, who had been leading from lap 1 all the way till this lap 27. Unfortunately for him, it's not going to be victory, as we've stolen that away from him, and it is a 1-2 for Mercedes AMG EQ. A big moment for us as Mercedes. Of course, we've had so many difficult seasons. Obviously, I haven't been driving for Mercedes, but we've had so many difficult seasons in the past and have been way behind where Mercedes really should be. But finally, Mercedes are back on top, and we are really heavily pushing for this championship. But Lewis Hamilton, he's going to be gutted with that one. He'll be absolutely gutted as he finishes in second place. 0.8 of a second off in the end. He did get himself back into the DRS zone again. He probably needed an extra lap, and he could have battled me hard for the position. Sam, meanwhile, a very difficult race for him actually. He got caught in all the battles with himself, with Piastri, with Reese, with Ricciardo at some point. I believe there was also Sainz and Norris, and he just didn't really get himself into as many clear air. But you can see here though that he managed to take P3 though, despite a difficult Grand Prix for him. So it's another podium for Sam, and he'll certainly take that one. Oscar Piastri finishes the race in P4 for Ferrari, 10 seconds off the lead in the end, with Reese unfortunately not able to overtake Piastri, and he finishes 4/10 back. Daniel Ricciardo finishes in a little bit of a lonely P6, but he'll be absolutely fine with that and gets himself 8 points. For the first time this season, Callum Ilott gets himself into the top 10. It's been a very difficult season so far for Callum Ilott, but he has managed to get himself into the top 10, finishing in P7, getting his first points of the season, 25 seconds back in the end. Sergio Perez finishes in 8th place for Red Bull. Bit of a consolation for them, all things considered. Pierre Gasly, a man as well that said multiple times that he's really struggled with this Renault car, gets some points on the board, so hopefully that can give him some momentum, or at least just ease the damage that's being done with Daniel Ricciardo picking up all the points. And another driver that gets his first points of the season is Theo Pourchaire. Of course, Colton Herta picked up points in the first round of the season, but this time around it's Theo Pourchaire that finally gets the points for Aston Martin. Picking up the one solitary point in P10, Lando Norris was the man that set the fast lap of the race for Ferrari with a 122.164, but as you'll see in a minute, he finished outside of the top 10 because of that damage and that crash with Sainz. Charles Leclerc finishes in P11, just missing out on the points, which is a real shame for him. Stoffel Van Dorn finishes in P12. A very strange race from Van Dorn because Perez was the one that was starting really far back, but yet Van Dorn was right up there at the start and he just dropped off, so that's a bit of a weird one from him. Mason Wood finishes in P13 for BMW, 36 seconds off in the end. Colton Herta, 14th. For Aston Martin, 37.5 seconds behind the race leader ourselves. Nick De Vries finishes in 15th for BMW, just ahead of George Russell. Russell, I don't know, I thought he was, again, another driver I thought was a little bit further up the order, but just didn't seem to make it count. So, yeah, a bit of a shame there for Russell. Bottas, again, a disappointing race from him, finishing in 17th place for Audi. Carlos Sainz finishes in 18th for Porsche. Of course, we know what happened with him, and same with Lando Norris, who finishes in 19th place. Both of them suffering damage from their resulting crash with each other. Pato O'Ward was the only driver not to score any points here today, leaving him P20 as things stand. Looking now at the Drivers' Championship after the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix, and that victory has opened us up a little bit of an advantage now at the top of the table. We are now 12 points clear of Sam, who is on 93 points. We are on 105 points as things currently stand. Lewis Hamilton is third in the championship with 85 points to his name. He is just 20 points off of us at the lead of the championship. Reese is currently fourth in the championship for Porsche with 74 points, and he is 31 points off the lead. And then it's Oscar Piastri that's on 55 points, goes in front of his teammate Lando Norris, who's on 43 points. The two of them respectively are 50 and 62 points off the championship lead. Carlos Sainz, what an awful event that he's had in the Middle East. In Bahrain, he DNF'd. In Saudi Arabia, he DNF'd. And in Abu Dhabi, he crashed out and didn't score any points. 3 pointless races in a row. If you just look at that, the amount of points he's lost, he's 68 points off the championship lead now. Carlos Sainz should probably be maybe ahead of Reese in fourth, or maybe just behind him, or even close to Hamilton at this stage of the season. It's been a shocking 3 rounds for Sainz, and he really needs to buckle up his ideas now heading into the next round of the season at the Dutch Grand Prix, heading into the European leg, because albeit yes, the 2 DNFs were completely out of his equation, that third pointless finish, that was all his own fault. Daniel Ricciardo is 8th in the championship for Renault on 27 points, 78 points back in the championship. And that's the crucial thing there, look. He's only 10 points clear of Daniel Ricciardo in the Renault, and the Renault is a lot slower than the Porsche. George Russell is 9th in the championship on 18 points, and Sergio Perez also has 18 points, 10th in the championship. The next round, as we just mentioned, is the F1 Journey Dutch Grand Prix. Now, looking at the Constructors' Championship and how things have swayed in that, well, things have certainly swayed. First things first, we are top of the championship, and my God, do we have a big lead now at the top of the championship. 190 points to our name Porsche on 111 points. And crucially, just as I was mentioning in the Drivers' Championship standings, 3 pointless finishes for Carlos Sainz has hurt Porsche massively. And it's just allowed, with me and Hamilton consistently scoring well, to, well, pull away. And that's a big blow for Porsche in the championship. McLaren now, they have got in front of Ferrari in the championship. 102 points to their name. Ferrari with 101 points. So they have jumped them. They're now a point clear. And McLaren are now closing. They're only 9 points behind Porsche. That battle for second in the Constructors' Championship is looking very tasty. Red Bull are 5th in the championship with 35 points ahead of Renault, who are on 29 points. Jaguar closing up to Renault ever so slightly now. They're on 24 points. Audi, meanwhile, still having a rough time of things on 15 points, with Aston Martin jumping in front of BMW. Now, that's a big one in the Constructors' Championship, because BMW, of course, were in front of Aston Martin, but not anymore, as Aston picked up another point, and it's going to be very difficult for BMW to try and pick up some points now, but anything is possible in Formula 1. So let's go and have a look at the post-race notebook now and see what the teams and drivers had to say after this Abu Dhabi Grand Prix. taking a look at the post-race notebook after the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix, it was Tom that led home a Mercedes 1-2 in Abu Dhabi, and that left him calling out Alain Prost after the Grand Prix, stating that is how a champion drives. Of course, heading into this weekend in the team principals press conference, Alain Prost called out Toto Wolff for signing Tom for the man that constantly makes mistakes. Well, this weekend he made no mistakes and qualified in P8 and fought his way all the way back up to win the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix. Unfortunately for Carlos Sainz, it's been an awful 3 races. 0 points in the last 3 with 2 DNFs and a spin which led to a crash with Lando Norris, causing him to finish outside of the points. And he has admitted that he now needs to take these last 3 races as motivation to get back up and fight stronger and fight harder, as obviously the championship battle has definitely gone away from him, but it's certainly not over for Carlos Sainz. And Sam has now called on McLaren to up the ante and up the pace and the tempo of the team and the development as Mercedes take control in this championship. Of course, Sam is yet to win in the F1 journey so far, and he has been on the podium multiple times, but he is constantly being pipped by Mercedes, and he needs them to up their game if they're going to challenge them heading into the next few races of the season. But that is it for the F1 journey here for the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix. If you have enjoyed the video, drop it a like, subscribe if you're new around here as well, and I will catch you guys for the next round, which is the Dutch Grand Prix next time out. Take care all, peace.